And I'm Dee Dee.
And this is the Kerry and Dee Dee show. So, you didn't do your little thing.
What's up?
So we got a question for you. Do you think a woman should give her boyfriend an ultimatum on whether he should marry her or when he should marry her?
Right.
Do you think that's fair to make the man
basically
marry?
to give him a time frame as to when he should marry you, and if he doesn't marry you by that time, y'all breaking up, I guess.
Yeah, because I'd be wondering what the ultimatum is, because it's like, all right, if y'all live together,
yeah,
are you going to just...
Let's assume they live together. And she decide, okay, we're going to live together. If we're going to live together, you got to marry me 2 years after we've been living together.
And what happens after 2 years?
And then if you don't marry after 2 years, yeah, you call it off. It's over. We breaking up.
I always felt like, are you really together if you're not married anyway? Because it seemed like two people who kind of shacking up together.
It's a relationship.
It's like you're shacking up. So it's like, if you leave, I mean...
It's a relationship, but y'all not bound by the
law.
Legal... Right. But it's a relationship that's just not bound by law. So, you know, there's no real... I mean, it's a relationship, but if you leave, you just leave and that's it. It's like you never was together.
As a man...
As opposed to if you're married. Yeah.
I always felt like when you get together, nobody's talking about marriage. Especially the woman. She's not... marriage? I wasn't talking about no damn marriage with you. I just met you. Alright, so that's the first 6 months. The second 6 months... Yeah, second 6 months, the man says, hey, I'm not bringing this marriage thing up ever again. Mm-hmm. Because this is fine for the way we are. And then women that I know always talking, I'm independent. I got my own mind. I got my own money. I got my own job. I'm doing me. And guess what? I don't want to hear about that marriage thing because marriage only seems like it's a way for you to hold me down and make me be, you know, some subservient cook, chef, and maid. I'm not going to do that. And so the man goes the next 6 months and says, all right, now a year's passed. We're doing fine the way we are. She don't want to get married. So and you know what? I don't want to get married either. Mm-hmm. I'm already, in many cases, we already got kids, so we're having sex. We already live together, so we're already, you know, sharing bills.
What's the sense of getting married?
What's the sense of getting married? We're the next best thing. And then all of a sudden you get this, you need to marry me.
Well, it's not all of a sudden. She realized either one of her friends get married or somebody in her family tell a girl,
all of a sudden,
you've been with this man all this time and he don't want to marry you? Girl, what kind of shit is that? When one of your friends or one of your family members tell you some shit like that, then you start to thinking, because that's what we do. We think on everything. We don't forget nothing. Well, pretty much we like to...
We don't forget, y'all don't forget y'all side of the conversation.
Yeah, we don't forget our side. And we dwell on stuff. So until somebody tell you, it ain't cool, then you start putting that pressure on that man and saying, we ought to get married.
And I'm thinking that it's unfair that you let a year, sometimes 2 years go by and then start throwing up ultimatums. It's like men, we
don't let them get comfortable. Like
we get comfortable. It's like so we got everything going. We're doing well. Why mess it up? Because as soon as you get married, the first thing that happens is the woman starts checking in on the man. It's like,
what do you mean?
When at first I could go hang out with my boys
before y'all got married.
Yeah, or I can go to the club by myself. Now I can't do that. But nothing really changed. We're still together. We were together before. We had the kids before. I was working. I was hanging with my boys and doing, you know, me. And now all of a sudden I've married you, and I am bound to the house.
That's not always the way it is.
That's typically what happens. And then the funny thing about it is, I don't know, men out there, tell me if you think this, you know, if you've gone through this, is that when we don't go anywhere, you blame me, saying that I'm holding you down and you can't go nowhere. He's like, I never told you can go anywhere.
Okay, now this is after the marriage. What about what happened to before?
Everything was free. You know, like I can go and leave and come back and Don't ask me too many questions. I don't ask you too many questions.
That's person specific. Mm-hmm. That's for, that depends on the relationship. Some women, I don't know, because I don't feel like you can control a person. I don't feel like a woman can control a man. I don't feel like a man can control a woman. You can have somebody will give you their divinity for a moment.
Well, I just they'll give you that for a moment.
If you was out clubbing while y'all was together every night and weekend, it was cool with you then. Just because you get married, it shouldn't change. Look, I feel like this. Whatever what your relationship is depends on what y'all two decide and whoever the couples are, what y'all, what's agreed upon. That's person specific. That's whatever your relationship entails is what, the two of you decide on. Now, if you meet somebody and y'all been together for years and like I said, and if he was allowed to go out and club every night of the week and you was allowed to do the same thing, that's just y'all relationship, and y'all meet back at home and everything is cool. If they all fine with that, that's how y'all do it. When y'all get married, why should it change then? Just because you get married don't mean the rules change. Don't mean, because a lot of times, I hate to say this, but a lot of women think that when if certain things were happening before you got married, that once you get married, those things are supposed to automatically change. But that's not how it goes. That's not how it works. Whatever was happening before, you better expect that to still happen once you get married. Getting married doesn't change the person and make them all of a sudden say, like, I gotta stay at home now because I'm married. No, that don't always happen like that. And men, like I saw this on one of these shows, Divorce Court or something. This man met this woman, and I'm going way off, but let me just say this real quick. This man met this woman. When he met her, she was dressing provocative and, short skirts and tube tops so the breasts hanging out. And he was attracted to that. That's one of the things he liked about her. So he get with her and they wound up getting married. When they got married, he decided, okay, now we married. I want you to wear long skirts and cover up. We're married now, so I want you to do that. Why would you expect a woman to cover up just because y'all got married? The very thing that attracted you to her, now you want her to change who she, change because y'all got married. I don't understand that. Now, maybe she'll change it, eventually, but why would you just expect her to change just because you got married? You think that's fair?
No.
That can't happen like that. Now, if a person is willing to, if she decides, you know what, I have kids now and I don't want to dress like that anymore, she's going to have to decide that. But look, there was a divorce court. You can't expect, that's why you have to kind of, you don't always know a person fully when you meet them, but sometimes I think it's better to take some time and get to know who you're dealing with. Know what they like, know what they don't like. So that way, when you get married, know who they are in the beginning. So by the time y'all get married, okay, this is what she likes or she don't like. I know she don't like hanging out in the club. I want a woman who don't hang out in the club. Or I want a man who don't hang out in the clubs. He don't like the clubs. Cool. That's what I'm looking for. Because if you don't like a man or a woman that hangs out in the clubs, when you meet out in the clubs, maybe that might not be the choice for you. Don't you think? Mm-hmm. You met them in the club. Why you think when you get with them, they ain't gonna want to do the clubs no more? So
right,
it's a little.
And then I get tired of people saying, "You're too old for that. You're too old for that." I'm too old to go and listen to some music. I'm too old to go to a club and want to dance. I'm too old for that. I'm supposed to just sit down and sit at the house and watch TV and get fat and oh yeah, all the new football games are all.
If that wasn't your thing at first, it may not be your thing later. Mm-hmm.
If you try that, it only works for a moment. It only really works for a moment.
The true you are going to come out. That be the problem. People be trying to change. You can't change a person. You got to accept them for who they are because they're not going to change unless they want to change. If you want to change, then you're going to do that yourself. So another person is not going to make you change and be something else. You have to want to change. If you want to change something about you, then that's how it's going to get changed. But somebody else can't change you.
Like one day, maybe a year or so ago, my wife and I were talking, and she said, "When I met you, you were strumming on the guitar." And I see you years later, and you're strumming on the guitar. Some things, people are who they are, and they're going to do what they've been doing the whole time. It's like bad habits. Yeah, you want to change away from bad habits. You
but even
smoke
those,
weed and drink and stuff.
take time, and
it takes time.
it has
But
to be you
some things that
wanting.
are habitual, like for a year or so, I had no guitar. But I got rid of all my equipment, thinking, all right, I'm married, I'm change all that. I'm not gonna be doing this music thing.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, little pieces kept coming back in the house. Couple pieces here, a couple pieces there, till it was just back in the house again. And she had to, learn to deal with it. It's like he's a musician. He's gonna be playing music. He's gonna be.
But I didn't really have a problem with it.
Well, you said
at first. What did I say? Go ahead. Say it.
That it junked up everything and it made.
That's the only issue I had because it was everywhere, and it used to be on my my kitchen table. And I'm like, okay, this shit gotta get off the table because we need to eat here. But that was my problem with it. But all the stuff on tape. But over time, I don't have a problem with it. It's like, okay, it wasn't the issue of him doing the music. I just had an issue of it, because he would put the stuff on the table, and I was like, I wasn't used to having all that stuff on my table, But eventually, like, okay, it's not on the table, there's another place to put it. But even, like now, you want to put equipment on the table, it's no problem. It's not. I think sometimes you just have to. You have to learn to accept the other person's, the things that they like and the things that they do. I didn't have a problem with the music. It just...
She did have a problem with the touring, though. She didn't want me to do that.
Well, because that's a lot of time gone, away. It's like... But it's like, look, relationships can be hard. They can be very hard, but they are harder if you aren't willing to compromise.
Keyword. Compromise.
That's it. And I think a lot of women, are so stubborn and they don't want to
and create these rules that they don't follow.
And you know what? Amen. That's the truth. And you know what? And I probably was guilty of that at some point in our relationship because, it is one-sided sometimes. You want them to do a certain thing, but then when they ask you to do something, you don't want to do it. You feel like, why I gotta do it? Why I gotta do it? But why would you expect them to do it if you don't want to do it? It's one-sided because you feel entitled or something. I'm the woman. I'm supposed to, you want to have all control or whatever. But that's not fair. That's not fair to them. So compromise is the key. If you can, especially women, and if some men too, if you can do that, I think you'll be all right. Just accept the person for who they are and things that they like. And if you knew I knew he liked music from the beginning, and from the beginning I loved it too. I loved it. That that he is a musician, but in the beginning I loved it. So it's like, but then somewhere you get lost and you start finding problems with things. So it's like,
I don't want you gone.
Well, if I didn't like the music because I knew when I met him that he was a musician, I loved that. If I didn't like it then that would have been a time for me to say, you know what? Okay, not you nice, but I we could be friends, but no, nothing more because I heard about musicians and I can't deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you got to handle that. You got to be willing to not even start something if you just don't. If that's something that's just something that you just can't deal with. That wasn't how it was. I was actually excited. I thought, I had some negative, people telling me, oh, you know about the musicians. I'm like, no, I don't know about no musicians. This is the first musician, that I've met. So, well, real musician. So, I don't know. People try to tell you things and stuff, but you cannot. And it's another thing, ladies especially. Don't let other people tell you things about your relationship that they don't even know. Don't let people put things in your ear and tell you stuff when they're not even not even completely sure about what's going on in your relationship. Don't tell people. Don't get other people involved in your relationship because they can mess it up for you. They can tell you things that don't really apply, and then you run with it, and then you could mess up something good.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Look at your man.
If you're not getting beat down to the ground for no apparent reason,
and if your man is
keep your business to yourself.
Yeah, because
between you and your partner.
Sometimes if you have a parent or a friend
they can give you some bad information
that has been in your head before the man got there, they can start giving you some information on a man that they dealt with.
Right.
And then you have taken the head of that man that they dealt with and put it on your man's body.
When the two aren't even the same.
And these two are not even the same.
Because people will tell you information based on what they've experienced. Now, without
and then you can turn that man into a bad dude.
But they give you information. Other people can give you information based on their relationship. But when you really look at it, the person that they was dealing with and the person that you're with are really not the same person. So you're getting information from somebody who had a low down man, and you apply that to your man that's not even like that. So my advice for that, I don't know how you're getting onto this, but I can tell you, my advice for that is keep people out your business. Like I said, somebody ain't just beating the crap out of you for no good reason. Deal with your own relationships. Don't get advice from people who, and if you married, don't, oh my gosh, if you married, do not get advice from a single person. Because a person who's never been married can't tell you about being married. And I've experienced that. You can't tell me about being married. That's like having a baby. You can read all the books in the world, but you can't tell me about giving birth because I've given birth 7 times. Okay? So you can't really tell me what it's like if you've never been through it. I can read a book and tell you what it's like, but reading that book, you don't feel the pain just from reading the book. Okay? So I don't care how many books you've read, you can't tell me about it unless you've been through it. The same thing with marriage. You can't tell me about marriage if you've never been married. Because you're giving me a single person's perspective, and there is a difference.
Yeah, when you're in a shack-up relationship, that's different from being married. It is, for real. And
you might even talk about relationships,
yeah,
but
and
being married,
because when you shacked up, you can talk to your friends about being shacked up.
Right, but marriage
everybody's
is
shacked up.
It's commitment. It's a whole different vibe. You know, when you're dating someone and y'all living together, okay, that's a relationship. But you know, it's a little different. I would say because. I know some people say, "Oh, the only difference is you have a piece of paper," but it's a commitment. You know, people can say they're committed when they're just dating or living together, but it is a difference between the paper because you sign and you take this oath and you say these vows to each other. This is not a joke. You're supposed to honor those vows. So it's a big deal. A lot of people don't take it seriously, but some people do, you know. But that's why a lot of people are divorced.
When you're married, you can't go and have a male friend, the woman, and talk to him about your man. When you're shacked up, yeah, you can have all the male friends in the world and talk to him, but you can't talk to... You have to talk to your spouse. You have to say, look, I have a problem with you.
Because a lot of times,
I need to talk to you about this, and I need you to be able to be quiet so that I can get my side out, so that we can hash this out. Maybe if I'm wrong, you can tell me why, I'm wrong so that I can stop feeling like this. But when, you're shacked up, you talk to anybody you want about your problems because it's all a crap game anyway. You might be talking to your next man,
But in any relationship, it is important to communicate. I really.
But definitely in a marriage, because you can't
communicate.
All the divorce shows we watch,
a lack of communication.
They're never talking to each other. They're always. I was talking to my friend at work.
Somebody else. Why are you talking to someone else about you and your husband's issues? Why aren't you talking to your husband or your wife, the one who you're dealing with these issues with? You're going outside of the marriage or the relationship to somebody else who's only getting a preview of what y'all experience every day.
From your point of view.
So, right, and only a one-sided point of view, because if you're not hearing the other person's side, and a lot of times when we try to get our points across, we want people to only hear our side because we want to feel like we're the right ones. And being right is not always good. You have to just don't tell everybody your business. Talk to your spouse, the person that you're in a relationship with. Because the only way y'all going to solve the problem is the two of y'all can come to some type of understanding and figure out how to work it out. Nobody else can't figure that out for you. So talking to other people don't really help the situation. It only makes it worse because they're going to give you information that's how a lot of people break up, because you get information from this girl, you should leave him. And women who are not married always be quick to tell a married woman, girl, you should leave him.
And then
girl,
10 months later, they got a man.
Girl, I wouldn't put up with that. I wouldn't put up with that, girl. He said that to you? Girl, baby. I leave that bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And you inside knowing, hold up, it ain't really like that. But I did tell this person, so I got to accept what they're saying. And you start believing what they're saying, and then you gone, and then you realize I was a good man, and then you end up with some fucking crackerjack ass man who was no good and treating you bad.
Or you can end up with a good dude, but you don't love him. You love the one that you left.
It's just, in that case, just don't deal with your own issues with your person, with the man you with, your husband or whoever you in a relationship with. Y'all talk to each other. If you cannot communicate, if you cannot sit down and talk, and I really do think that it's important to be able to communicate without yelling and without screaming, because that throws the conversation off, and sometimes that could mess it up too. Because if you can't sit down and be civil with each other, then that just could throw it all apart.
Well, see, I know where that yelling and screaming comes from. Because
but
when you're
time.
talking to somebody and they are not hearing you, they are only listening long enough, letting you talk long enough so that they can start talking. That's when you know that this person is fried. They're not even listening to me. They're ready to talk, and you're not gonna hear me. So now I'm getting loud because I need you to hear me, because you're not hearing my side. You're hearing your side. It's always sound like, when you're listening to people fuss, you're really listening to those two people are arguing. They're really, really, really trying to say, you're not hearing my side. And you are not listening long enough to hear my side before you start talking.
I really think there needs to be a timer involved.
Yeah.
You need to put a timer. Okay, I'm going to give you 10
and let me tell you something. A woman needs at least an hour, because you're going to talk in a circle.
Time.
And meet me right back at 1.
And when you get your point out in them 10 minutes, then I can talk 10 minutes, and then you can go.
My whole thing is
and
always,
that way we'll get it all out.
When we first got together, I used to always tell her, I don't want to win, and I don't want to be right. I want to be heard.
And I heard you.
Yeah. And because everybody's in a scrimmage, and I am not.
And I don't always want to be right.
Yeah. I am in.
No, but I'm serious. But I know you think I always want to be right.
Yeah,
but I tell you, no, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
But I'm in a situation where I'm not impressed by anything. So it's like, look, I don't want to be right. I want to be heard. There's no situation here where I won. I know I was right. I don't give a fuck if I'm right. I just want to be heard. If you hear my side, then you'll see where I'm coming from. Because everything that I'm thinking is not about you. It's always, my thought pattern is big, it's vast. I'm thinking about a whole lot of things. I didn't grow up in a situation where my mind is all on being right. I don't give a fuck about being right. I want to get as much information as I can. I'll sit and listen to the same thing 30 times.
So what if you're being heard, and once you heard, and I say I'm right?
It doesn't matter to me whether you're right or not. As long as I got to voice my opinion, or to voice my issue with the situation, I'm fine. Because being right, you're never going to learn anything if you're right all the time.
You just have to learn how to, and that's a very good point.
Everybody who I know want to be right all the time, they're always out of a relationship, they're always broke, and they're always pissed off.
Being right shouldn't be the whole focus. Just being able to listen and understand where that person's coming from, and they understand where you're coming from, and in that way y'all can realize where the issues are, and you can work to fix them and resolve them.
And nothing's worse than telling a person that you don't like something, and they just keep doing it.
Oh, and since we're talking about this, let me tell you something. Wait, say that again?
Telling somebody that, like you say, let's throw something in the air. You say, hey, don't touch my hair.
Mm-hmm. And they keep touching it.
And then every time you look around, it's like, touching my hair. Look, bitch, I said, don't touch my hair.
But what if they really just, it's just a habit? And they just
it's like, look, no, see, you gotta know who you fucking with. And when somebody's telling you how to fuck with them, you gotta respect that. Look, don't touch my hair. Or don't call me D. I'm Dee Dee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, don't do that.
You know why? Because, like you just said, that means they're not paying attention to what you're saying.
Yeah, they're not paying attention.
Because that would be aggravating to me, too. But you know what? That's just one little thing. You know another thing that I have to just put out there, and I know this was talking about, ultimatums and stuff, but we don't want to clean off, so let's go with the current.
Rant.
Go with the current. Anyway,
it's an ADD.
I hate when people, marriage is not a fairy tale. People, please, this is for anybody who's married, getting ready to get married, thinking about getting married, whatever. Marriage is not what you see on TV. It's not a fairy tale. It's not like, oh, I love him so much, and he's the love of my life, and all that. Okay, that may be the case. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to argue. It's not going to mean that it's not going to get crazy. It's not going to mean It doesn't mean that everything is all roses. Every
And
day
he's
is
gonna go with everything you say.
Yeah, because everything is great as long as he's doing
and your
what you
mom is
say.
gonna like him, and your dad is gonna
It's
be
usually the
friends.
opposite.
Yes.
It's usually the opposite. And really, I would have to say the first, like, how many years of marriage? They say like the first 3 years or something like that. You can get past the first 3 years. I don't know, because I don't go about all that kind of stuff. But I know what.
The first 3 years is two people getting to
know each other, and that's not always easy at all. It's not a picnic. It's two different sets of ideas, two different sets of ways and ways of living. The way he was used to living, the way I was used to living, and you got to put those together. You got to put those together, and
look. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. I'm sorry, I got these pains. I grew up in a family where everything that you feel, you say it. You don't hold shit back. If it calls for you to get, like violently screaming and shit, you get it out.
But you come from that family, but I didn't.
And then I hook up with her, and she mumbles and talk under her breath. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't hear what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you have to learn that person, and either they start kind of, and that's another thing. Either sometimes they start kind of being like you, or you start being like them. But I knew one thing: I couldn't stand the whole,
Yeah, because that's how
I don't know what you're thinking because you're not telling me.
All your family is very outspoken, very outspoken, and they tell you how they feel. My side of my family was not like that. They don't want to say things; they'll just hold it in. Now, yeah, I will hold stuff in, and it'll come out eventually. And when it comes out, then it come out crazy. But I don't say it; I hold stuff in. They don't do that. So that's just one example.
Shit is on the table.
But that's just an example of you typically get a situation where it's like that. It's like that. It's in some capacity. Y'all gonna be opposite in some ways. Some way y'all gonna be similar. Some way it's gonna be opposite. And those very things that are opposite are the very things that y'all have to work hard at because to
and I think the things that make you opposite are the things that keep you together. Because it's like I don't want you to be just like me. But
it's a struggle. But it's weird. It's the very thing that y'all have issues with. But at the same time, if you didn't have those differences, y'all probably wouldn't even be attracted to each other.
Yeah.
Like I say, opposites attract because that's something different about you. What drew
that
person
with somebody
to
just
you?
like me.
Yeah, well, I mean that's going to be an issue. It's like
because I know we are all, every one of my brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, mother, father, everybody's the same. Same kind of person. It's like, I'm not a respecter of your personship. If you're a president or a pauper, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What the fuck you got to say? And it's none of that, ooh, that's a bishop. Who the fuck?
So you just amazed just because of
ooh,
that.
he's the boss.
Yeah.
He's a mutant. You know what I'm saying? Something special about this bitch? Because I don't see that, so I'll say anything that I have to say. Because I don't expect you to love me any fucking way. And if I don't know you, I don't really fucking owe you. And if this is the first time we met each other and you didn't like me, good, because we probably never have to see each other again. I don't know you. You know? And she was kind of different. She wasn't like that. It was like she sparing with the words, and it was like, I can say whatever you have to say. You know, and that's in the first 3 years. You got to get past that so that you can know the person. I always say, if y'all broke up before 5 years, or if you married somebody and y'all didn't make it 2 years, you didn't even know that person. You don't even know who the fuck that was. You didn't even give it a chance to find out, to get past the argument stage, get to the stage where things are, people, I know who this, I know
people
who this
be getting divorced in 12 months, 8 months, 9 months, barely 2 years. It's like because they can't get past, they can't find a place to, they feel like, I can't deal with this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck this, I'm out of here. They can't deal with it.
And you will never learn a person living with them. That ain't gonna happen. You'll never learn a person living with them. You have to marry that person.
Actually, I think
because you're still getting a different person. Because a married person, somebody you're living with married, is way different from somebody you're living with just living with. Because he still has his freedom. She still has her freedom. I don't really have to share every fucking thing with
Well,
you.
I do. I think you can learn a person by living with them.
They always present their best character. And when you live with people, you typically live with them about 2 years before y'all
If you
break
live
up.
with somebody for 2 years,
You
I think
can't
you can
use
pretty
that
much,
as part of your marriage discovery. You can't even.
I think you
can't
can.
even use dating as a marriage discovery because living with somebody is different from dating.
Dating is different, but I think living with somebody, you can learn things about them from living with them.
Mm.
I think so, because you're living with them every day. You get to see them when they wake up. You get to experience them in their environment and how they live while y'all living together. Yes, you can.
Well, think about this:
I think
a
things
man that's
change.
married to you, 10 to
Well, I do
9
think-
times out of 10 will try to go along with your rules for a minute.
When
A
they
man,
living with you,
a man who's married to you, a man who's living with you, is not going to go by your rules. He's going to, all right, I'll see you later. I'll be back. When I'm married to you, I have to kind of tell you where I'm going because if I end up dead, it is your right to know kind of where I was in the roundabout fucking idea.
well, you know what?
But when I'm living with you, it's like I'm going by my boy.
I think that depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all, and like I
Because
said,
because a woman who's just shacked up with a man isn't gonna tell him everything that she's doing.
I think that
or where she's
depends
at.
on the people.
Where you went?
Because
Well, you know I could only be a certain place. Well, I don't know.
Well,
You don't know I'm only gonna be by my mom.
that
I don't really know that.
Yeah, but
You
that
didn't say
depends
that.
on the people.
Yeah.
That's not for everyone. That depends on some people in relationships where they're living together have a relationship where, oh yeah, I'm telling you where I'm going. That's a part of your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be. That depends on, that's on a case by case basis. That's not for everyone.
In a mass majority of those shack up relationships, you don't know exactly where that person. In many cases, y'all have 2 separate lives and y'all just come together at night.
Shit, there's people that's married that's like that.
That's true.
So that's what I'm saying. It depends
But I'm
on the
saying
relationship.
more likely in a shacked up situation, you have 2 different lives. Y'all come together at night. People who are married tend to ask questions and probe because I think I have a right to. When I'm not married to you, I don't really have a right to know exactly where you at.
So that depends
If
on
you really don't, I don't owe you that.
That depends. Because some people aren't married, but they have kids together. You still owe to tell the person where you are when you have children,
Mm-hmm.
your kids. Hey, when you taking my child, where you going? Come get your child. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, marriage don't make, I think, because there are a lot of people who are married who live just exactly that way.
Yeah.
They live 2 separate lifestyles. Everything is separate. Nothing is together. And they married.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that's based on a case-by-case relationship, the way your relationship is and the people, how they are, how y'all relationship
Every
is.
male associate I've ever had, before they were married, anything I was going to do, I'm going to do it. And
That's
I'm
probably
living
why
with
they
her.
don't want to get married.
But when
'Cause
they
they think
got
that's gonna
married,
change.
I
Yeah.
would hear, hold on, let me tell this girl where I'm going at real quick.
All of a sudden, you have more respect for her because you're married.
Well, not more respect. It's like I'm a little bit more responsible to the situation because I know that she has a right to know where I'm at.
That's funny.
But when I'm not married to you, you really don't have a right to know where I'm at because
So
I'm my own man. And women, you can't tell me where I'm going, or you can't ask me where I'm going.
well, I still
I'm
feel
gonna
that's
be where I'm at.
a case by case because sometimes there are women who have kids for men and they're not married. They live together, and you're at home with the kids. You need to say, "Where are you? I need you to come and do this. I need you to do that," or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it depends on the situation. But I see what you're saying. But I just realized that there are married people who live just that way, and I find that even more strange because you're married and you're living like you're single.
Yeah, I got my own bank account. You got yours.
See, I just
we
don't,
meet in
I
the
don't
middle with
believe
the
in that.
bills. You pay this one, I pay this one. We pay this one together.
That's more like married for years. I don't understand that part, you know. But if that's y'all agreement,
you don't even know that I'm in bankruptcy or I have bad
exactly.
credit.
Like how that happened?
He's like, hey, we're married.
See, that's the part I don't understand. But I know, like I say, to each his own. Some people are comfortable. Some women want their own. They work and then their husbands work, and y'all money is separate. Some people like it like that. We personally know. I don't understand. No, I mean, it ain't making us better or nothing. It's just to each his own. If that's how you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But I just don't I don't understand that part. I just, but it's fine. I just don't want to generalize everything because I know that different, things apply to different people. But yeah, I just don't understand how when you're married, everything is still separate. You don't know where your husband at. Your husband don't know where you at. You can't ask where y'all living like y'all single. That's weird to me. I couldn't have that.
Yeah, that'd be hard. But going back to topic.
We all off top.
Yeah,
we done went all up about marriage stuff. We supposed to be talking about ultimatums, and I think we mentioned a couple of things about that. Well, let us know then.
Yeah, it was fun talking. It's fun just doing loose videos. So,
I could talk about this kind of stuff all night, but not tonight because I'm always tired.
Yeah,
my neck hurt. Anyway,
y'all have a good one.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye.